Hello everyone, Jim from Ohio here. And when we moved into our latest house last December, we were lucky enough to also get three very large and mature blueberry plants along with it. Now we had these two small plants when we lived in our last house, but they never produced any blueberries. They were in pots the entire time they were at our last house. We moved them here, and since we planted them at this new spot, since the ground is very acidic here, it's the perfect environment for blueberries. And you can see we do have some blueberries forming on this plant as well as this plant. These three large plants last year were loaded with blueberries, but we had such a bad time battling the birds and the deer to get the blueberries in time. Jenny was able to go on Amazon.com and buy these big, I think they were 6 or 7 foot tall net drawstring bags that she ended up putting over those three plants. But it was such a pain to every time you wanted to pick the blueberries, you had to take the drawstring bag off and then very carefully fold all of the limbs back in, and then it took 2 of us to get the drawstring bag back over the plant. So we decided to add a little more protection this year, and we added a 6 blueberry plant. What I did was I went online and I looked, and I found that in Europe, net houses like this are very common for blueberries, but here in the States, they don't really advertise anything. As a matter of fact, all of the websites that had some type of a blueberry house or a berry house, it was $1,500, $2,000. And well, what I did, I looked around on Amazon and I was able to find this house or this frame structure. And this is actually meant to be a galvanized steel chicken coop. It comes in 3 different sizes, and I'll leave a link in the video description down below where you can order either of the 3 sizes. But we went with the middle size. It's about 16 feet long and it's about 10 feet wide. Now it was under $300. I think we paid $279. The smaller version of the house is about $210. And I think that the larger version of the house was 20 feet long. And I believe that it was right around the neighborhood of $300. But it was a lot cheaper than anything else that I found. Now, I didn't use the mesh chicken wire that came with the house, just because the holes in it were about an inch and a quarter in size, which would have been perfect for chickens or poultry, but it would not have kept some of the birds out. So what I did, I found some different netting, and we'll talk about that later on in the video. But I found some very inexpensive netting and was able to cover the house with mesh woven netting material as opposed to the chicken coop material. But it's got a frame door, it's got latches on the door. You lift up on these and fold them upward and the door opens. Now I do have a gap here that birds can get in. What I plan on doing is I'm going to get a pool noodle and just wrap it around this top bar, and that should close that gap quite a bit more. Now the only other thing that I think that I'm going to do to this is around the bottom, we did, as you can see, we did put down some weed matting or garden fabric so that we don't have to mow inside here. But there is a little bit of a gap at the bottom. I guess a bird could get under there. But more importantly, when we mow around this or use the weed eater around it, we don't want to accidentally cut through the woven mesh. So what I'm going to do is I picked up some 2x6s that are pressure treated, and I think what I'll do is I'll go around the whole base of this with the pressure treated lumber, and that should make a nice path for us to use the weed eater without having to worry about destroying or damaging the fabric. But I just wanted to share this with everybody. Now one other thing that I did to this, because of the large, well, here, let me tell you what I did. This galvanized tube and across the top and down the other side there, and this one right here, and this one right here I added. You can see there's 1-inch tubing here. This is only 1/2-inch tubing. There was a very large span all the way from there to there, and another very large span all the way from there, and then another one to the end. And I just thought that over time, if this material, right now it's stretched very tight and it's holding shape, and I don't think it'd be a problem, but if it gets any type of a snow load or it starts sagging in the middle, I thought that was just too large of a distance, so I went ahead and added that all the way across. So I beefed it up just slightly, but for the price, even with beefing it up and adding my own netting, I was still under $300, I'm gonna guess, maybe $310. Now when I added the lumber, I think the lumber, I do have that in my barn. I think that that probably came to another $35, maybe $40. But all in all, our berries are organic. The birds are not going to get them, and hopefully both this house and this netting material will last many years for us to continue growing this way. Well, that's all. Let's get into the details of the house. I'm going to show you what the box looks like, what you can expect if you get one of these. So when this chicken coop or screen house arrived, it did get delivered in 2 different boxes, and both boxes for me did arrive on the same day. This is a heavy kit, so you'll probably need some assistance lifting it. This box, the long box, is awkward to carry, and as you can see on the side here, it weighs 84.22 pounds or 38.2 kilograms. So it's just awkward, and it is heavy, so be careful when you lift it. And then the second box here did weigh 45 and a half pounds and 20.7 kilograms. Yeah, 2 boxes, and the boxes were in good shape when they arrived. Everything was had this strapping tape on it, and even though there was a little bit of damage on the box, everything was intact in the box. So I did go ahead and open these up. Now, to get them out to the job site, I did put them on this portable trailer and just pulled it out with my lawn tractor. But I opened up the box first of all to take all of the components out and get them organized. And just a word of warning, there are a lot of pieces that make up this kit. So I did go ahead and organize them by part number, laid them all out. You do get a set of instructions. I have not looked at those yet. And then all of the small parts were in a separate box, in box B, the smaller box of the 2. And it looks like it does come with a set of a trimming tool. This is probably going to be used to cut the zip ties that came with it, and I have the zip ties already out of the box over there. And it did come with one of these little Phillips head screwdrivers. Most of the time these are junk, and they're really too small to get a good grip on to tighten the screw up, so we'll probably just toss this out and use a real screwdriver. But it came with a set of just gloves, I guess, handling the galvanized pipe, just so you don't get that. Usually when you handle galvanized metal, you'll get that black stuff all over your hands. But we'll go ahead and open the instructions out here and start assembling it soon to see how easy it is to put together. Now, all of the parts have stickers on them. So these are part number 1, and there's quite a few of these. And for the most part, all of the stickers were a little easy to read, but you can see by this one right here, that you really can't read at all just from the parts rubbing in the box. There's just no way to tell what that is. So as far as if the manufacturer of this happens to be watching this video, you need to change the way that you're labeling these. I don't know if it could be stamped in the metal or something else, but for the most part, I was able to get all of the parts figured out and laid out in the order needed. But I am, there are some parts that are obviously not accounted for yet. So I've got these two say 18, but then I've got nothing in the 19 slot, and I've got 20 here and 21 here, 22, and so on. So what I'm getting at is I've got these three mystery parts here that you just absolutely cannot read the sticker at all. So I've got these set out. Now most of these other parts that had stickers that were kind of rubbed off, I was able to compare the size and hole location or spring tab location and figure out some of them. But I'm not happy with the way that these are labeled. As far as the thickness of the metal, it looks like it's, you know, it should hold up, I would think, to the weather and hopefully to the wind. We'll see. As I mentioned, we're going to use this as a berry house. Now, would I use something like this to actually house livestock in? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see after we get it together and get the poultry wire that comes with it in place, and we'll make an assumption then. But so far that's what we got. So I'm going to go ahead and start assembling this. I'm not going to record myself putting it together just because I've never done one of these before, and I'm sure that I'm going to fumble with different things, but I'll give an overall assessment of how easy it is to put together after we get something done. So we'll be back shortly, and hopefully we'll make some progress. All right, after a couple hours, we have the frame itself together. We did run into a couple small issues. First of all, you do need some gloves when you do this. When you push those pins in, some of the places that you have to insert them into, the pipe is a little bit sharp, and so while you're trying to hold the pins in to get past those sharp edges, there's just no way to avoid cutting your fingers. It did come with a set of just cloth gloves, but those are ridiculous, because when you hold the gloved fingers up to the sharp edge and push in, the cloth material gets hung up between the two pieces of metal, and it just rips the gloves. So we were able to reuse some cheap gloves that we had that had rubberized fingers, and it helped quite a bit for getting that done. The other small issue that we ran into was for the two uprights where the doors are. There are some screw holes that are here for the door hinge, as well as down here for the door hinge, and the piece that was actually numbered that had these holes, it said it should be part number 13. However, what we found when we located the sticker, and I'm looking for the sticker right now, we found out that actually part number, okay, here we go, it said part number 12 had the holes for the door hinges, when in reality it was part number 13. So that was pretty easy to figure out when we were putting the door frame together. And the way the door works, it just has a couple of hinges here. Now you can't lift up on the door, because if you do lift up, obviously it'll fall off the hinges. But it has these locks. There's one at the top and one at the bottom. You do have to lift up, and then this will unlatch, and then the door is loose. And then just to relatch that, you just reverse that process. So that should work to keep the door secure. The stakes that hold this down, there are just some little wire stakes that are in each location, that there's a down rod, and then they did also include for in the middle of each of the down rods just a loop piece. But these pins that hold it down to the ground are only about 4 inches long, so I don't know how well that'll hold. It seems to be holding for now, but in any case, for the money, I think that this was definitely a good buy. The frame does appear to be pretty sturdy, and for using it for the berries, I think it's going to work just great. We will have to do some trimming at some point. I think for this year we'll just tuck that plant that's going to be sticking out. That's the biggest one we have. We'll tuck it in under the netting. Now, speaking of netting, when we looked at the netting that came with it, since this is designed to be a chicken coop, it came with a kind of a plastic coated just chicken wire. One of the things that this the whole purpose of putting this up is protection for our blueberries and raspberries from the deer, but also from birds. Any bird is going to be able to figure out how to get through this. So rather than putting this stuff up, we're not going to waste our time doing that. We're just going to use that for a different project. But what we'll do is we're going to go to the hardware store, and we picked these up, and I made some temporary cages for the raspberries last year. But this is just a 1-inch opening, and it's unlikely birds will get through that. It is a heavier gauge material. We'll just have to measure and buy this. Now, this is going to be more expensive and it's going to add to the project, but we'd rather do it right the first time and call it done and then get many years of use out of this. But we'll come back later on after we've got the wiring mesh on it and show you the process for Instead of using the nylon coated chicken wire that came with our chicken house kit, I decided to go with this stuff instead. It's a woven mesh netting material, and you can see on the box they're using it for hoops in a garden just to keep animals and larger insects out. But it's made by Alpine Research, and this is the first time that I've used it. But the kit that I got, it comes in several different sizes. I bought the 15 by 50 foot kit, and I figured it's going to take about 2 of these kits to do the entire berry house that I'm putting together. But I went ahead and I bought a 3rd kit just in case. And I found when I went to the big box stores and looked at all of the different fencing and mesh options, I couldn't really find anything that I was happy with. So I took a chance by ordering this on Amazon, and so far it seems to be pretty good. Now, I understand that Alpine Reach is a like a family-owned or small business, and so I don't know, they've got several sizes available, but I don't know if somebody was ordering like 1,000 kits. I don't know if they'd be able to keep up with an order like that. But it's supposed to be plant protection, bird netting, and deer fencing. You can kind of see by the description on the box the size of the holes that are there compared with a penny. And it did come with 100 zip ties. And so I went ahead and I've got the roof section done already, and what I did was I just took the roll that comes in the kit and I looped it up over the top and ran it all the way down to one end. Now, you will want to do this on a day that doesn't have very much wind. The wind was picking up a little bit when I was doing it, and I did wrestle with it. What I ended up doing was I clamped it on one end at the top, rolled it out down to the other end, and then unrolled it on one side and went down this side, clamping it everywhere that I could. Like I said, the wind will affect it. The other thing you have to be careful for is this chicken coop, the way that it's assembled. It's got these push-in quick release buttons, and anywhere that the netting comes in contact with those, it will hang up. So you do have to be cautious that you know, when those come into contact with the netting. But this is a nylon woven mesh, and it is very strong. You really can't break it by pulling on it with your fingers. It's pretty tough stuff. And for now, I've just got it zip tied in place, and I was able to get it put on pretty tight. The nice thing about this stuff is, I don't know if you could see, there was just a honeybee fly in here, but the bees will still be able to get through this stuff to pollinate your blueberry or your raspberry plants. But the bigger insects like those, hopefully the big June bugs, won't be able to get through. I don't know if they eat these, but the butterfly moths won't be able to get through this. So if you're going to do this on your brassicas or something, it might be a good option. For right now, it kind of looks hokey with the zip ties on here, and there's some places where it's hanging loose still, and that's because I have not done the side walls yet, or the front and back walls. And once I get everything in place, I'll tidy up all of this loose stuff that's hanging down either side. But looks like it's good, strong stuff. It's very lightweight, but at the same time very durable, which is exactly what I wanted for this. So let's move on and start working on these side walls. Well, this is Jim with Jim Jenny, Ohio. Hopefully you've liked this video. If you did, or if you gained any knowledge from it, please give us a like or a thumbs up. And please feel free to share this video with all your friends and family. Take care and enjoy the rest of your week. Bye-bye.